Welcome to the Potter Discussion.
Welcome back to the Potter Discussion. This is episode 90, and on today's episode, I will predict what I think will happen in Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them 3. Welcome everyone! Episode 90 already? Yikes, we are going through these things like butter. Well, today I am very excited because we are talking about Fantastic Beasts 3, the newest, new shiny thing that is going to come out in about a year, a little less than a year. So everyone listening, I hope, is really excited. But there are some things that we would like to see happen, and there are some things that I think should happen. And that is what we are talking about today. Predictions of what Fantastic Beasts 3 is going to be about. Because there are some things that were really, left open. These open plot points that were just never really tied up nicely that I think we can expect. But also these things that weren't quite started that we might have expected to have begun that I will also be talking about today. So we have a great episode lined up. Sit back, relax, and let's do this. Before we get started, however, I will remind you that the SpeakPipe page link and the Google form link are still in the show notes for any questions, comments, feedback, Quizmaster questions, or jokes. Your best one that you got, put those in those two forms below. It would really help me out, and it only takes you a second. It is completely free. I would absolutely love to hear what you have to say. Also, you can email me, thepotterdiscussion@gmail.com. That is thepotterdiscussion@gmail.com if you don't want to use those two forms of communication I just listed. Alright, let's do this. So, Fantastic Beasts 3. What could Fantastic Beasts 3 possibly hold? Fantastic Beasts 2, The Crimes of Grindelwald, really gave us a taste of what Warner Brothers was thinking about to take over this Harry Potter fandom and give it a new twist. Fantastic Beasts is really where the Harry Potter franchise is going to branch out and explore the other areas of magic we just never got to see. And that's exactly what they are going to do in Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them 3. Now, I will not give my full predictions on what we're going to see right now, but just a little hint on a talking point later in the episode. They did reveal that they were filming in Rio de Janeiro, so wherever they're gonna do there, that's what they're going. So we'll see exactly what that entails. But let's just get on. I do have a list of several predictions that I do think are quite probable, and we are going to be going through those. I have started with the most obvious ones that are pretty much going to happen, and then the ones that are kind of more theorizing. And in the old days, well, kind of think about different character arcs, what people are thinking, decisions that were made, Queenie, and different things like that. So let's just go. My first prediction is an update on Credence and more info on his identity. This is pretty much just what I think will continue on in the story. One of the more prominent subplots of Fantastic Beasts is Credence trying to find his true self, who he really is. I've made theories on this before. If you haven't seen those, it would be a good idea to go check those out. They aren't on YouTube, but they are on your podcast app, just for some good insight on what, the real depths of Credence. But Credence has been looking for who he is ever since he left New York. Grindelwald came to him in the form of Mr. Graves, thinking that he was the solution to all of his problems. And in return, Mr. Graves would give Credence who he really was. Of course, that probably was not true, because Grindelwald didn't know, but but in the end, he seemed to have figured it out. Aurelius Dumbledore, and the way he gave Credence that wand, oof, every time. I know there always has to be one scene. In every episode, I always criticize one scene, but this is that scene. So the way Grindelwald gives Credence the wand at the very end of The Crimes of Grindelwald, he goes, like Johnny Depp did an amazing job portraying Grindelwald, but he whispered. He never talked. He was like, "Yes, I give you this wand." It was like he was a million years old, and his I'm old switch was always flipped. It's crazy how often he just always is whispering and creepily saying, "Ugh, ugh." It's like pre-Voldemort. It's kind of Grindelwald evolved into Voldemort. How they talk. Voldemort goes, "Ugh," but Grindelwald goes, "Ugh." Man, this is a Foley podcast now, but that's my rant for the day. But my prediction. Credence is going to learn more about himself. This is pretty much, starting with the most likely, this is pretty much going to happen. That's kind of what Fantastic Beasts is about. Credence finding his true parents, his true family, and as it stands, is he a Dumbledore? I don't know, but when he was given a wand, he went bang, bang, pow, pow, and exploded a mountain, so that was cool. But there's also a phoenix that appeared to him, and this is kind of like a mini Easter egg. I'm pretty sure this is what Warner Bros. Wanted you to see, but in France, in Paris, he was feeding a bird in a box on a rooftop, and that's where Grindelwald found him. But that same bird was the phoenix, so the phoenix found him before he, was marked as a Dumbledore, I guess you could say. So maybe it's true that he is a Dumbledore. I don't know. No one does. But the fact still stands. He is going to find out more about himself, what he stands for, his family, his parents, and I don't think it's just going to be he finds out something and that's it. There's going to be more to it, because of course we know Warner Bros. They're going to find something to make their bank accounts go ka-ching, but there has to be some kind of twist, and it's very exciting as it is, but for Credence's family to be something that we expected but didn't, I think would be a really smart move for the franchise to go in, just because there's a twist within a twist is really the best you can get. That's where the excitement is, and that's exactly what Warner Bros. Is looking for at this time. So a twist within the twist of how Credence finds his family is exactly what I'm expecting in Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them 3. Queenie went with Grindelwald, and her decision may not have been the smartest, but she thought it was. It was a moment of weakness for her, and Grindelwald is exactly the kind of person who capitalizes on other people's failures and weaknesses to his own gain. It sounds twisted, and it is, but it's very effective, as we saw with Queenie. She is clearly good through and through from Fantastic Beasts 1 up to pretty much the end of Fantastic Beasts. But in the big speech, the speech of the ages, she is swayed by Grindelwald and steps through the blue fire dramatically. And then there's a great callback of the line, Jacob thinking that Queenie's crazy, but Queenie can read minds. And then Queenie's like, "Walk with me," and then Jacob's like, "No, you're crazy," and then she's like, "Walk with me." I'm sorry, I sound like a squabbling crow, but bottom line, Queenie really decided that Grindelwald was her future. As hundreds of other wizards had before her, she fell in with Grindelwald and was pretty chummy with him, as we saw in Nurmengard Castle and that little cutscene thing. But Queenie is going to question her decision. That's another probable thing that I can foresee, because we saw how fast she changed, and without thinking out a decision, you know it's never going to be what you really think. You saw when she arrived first in Paris, and that, one of Grindelwald's close followers, the French woman, took Queenie into her, the people that are killed, which he called at her home, and gave Queenie tea, which was so funny because Queenie was covering her cup, and it was a very persistent teapot. And then when Grindelwald came out, she was ready. She pulled out her wand, she stood up, she said, "Don't come any closer. Stop over there." And then, 2 days later, she's like, Jacob, I don't want you anymore. Grindelwald is my future. So you can see the effect that Grindelwald has on these crowds of people looking for something other than what they have. As the saying goes, you always want what you don't have. And then right when you get it, you don't want it anymore. I made it the last part, but it's just true with Queenie. Queenie decided that Jacob, Newt, and Tina, they don't understand me anymore, but Grindelwald clearly does with his insightful and personal speech. So that's probably one of Grindelwald's biggest strong suits. He's a great talker, which is exactly how he built his masses. So Queenie joins Grindelwald, and I don't think that decision is going to hold up. She was making that decision in a moment where she didn't think that she was loved and cared in her little circle of people. You have your circle of friends, your family, your neighbors, whatever. She didn't feel like she had a place in that circle anymore, so she wanted to find a new circle. And we know with Queenie, she's a very people person. She can't survive without being around other people who, notice her, pay attention to her, and, kind of interact with her. So when she didn't get that attention anymore, she needed to find somewhere else to get it. And Grindelwald, what do you know, was that person. So, and because, of course, he is a great person to talk to interact with, to get attention from, because he isn't doing it because he wants to. He's just doing it to get those sweet followers, which is that it works. I hate to say it, but Grindelwald is a talker, and it works really well. But Queenie joined him, and I don't think that is going to be something that she is going to stick with. Joining the dark side is kind of a big deal. So if Queenie just did it when she was feeling a little lonely, that was a snap decision, and she's definitely going to change. And I know if you say, well, no, it wasn't a snap decision because she was sad for, weeks. Well, she was sad for weeks, but she wasn't thinking, I want to join the dark side for weeks. She wanted to join the dark side when Grindelwald gave that speech about how they are different. They're just of other value. That whole other value speech. And I think another reason Queenie wanted to go with Grindelwald was because she wanted to be with Jacob. And although maybe that might have happened, it still is kind of a bad reason to go with Grindelwald, because Grindelwald will only do what he wants to do when his, ideas are spread across the world. He only does what Grindelwald wants himself. So when Queenie joined him, she, in a sense, was saying, I want exactly what you want. And she literally said that when his speech was over. So when the speech was over, she said, Jacob, he wants what we want. And that is so false. Now, I say that because although maybe Muggle, being together with Muggles is something that he was thinking about maybe implementing in the world, but keep in mind, maybe in Europe, that was already a thing. It's legal to, be with Muggles, a witch or a wizard being with a Muggle, but in America, that wasn't true. So it was completely foreign and very appealing thing for Queenie. Jacob, this love of her life that she just met in America as an American witch, couldn't be with her. Their relationship was illegal. So when Grindelwald said, I will make your relationships legal, she thought, we have to do this. There's no other option. So she joined Grindelwald in hopes that law would be placed, that she would be able to be with Jacob. So far, we've only seen schools in Europe and America, but there has to be other places where people can learn magic. And in thinking that, you are correct. In South America, there is a school of magic located in the northern Amazon rainforest called Castellabruxu. Similarly to America and Europe, Castellabruxu is run by the South American Ministry of Magic. It takes in students from all over South America. And as you may have guessed from my introduction, I think we're going to go there. As I have said before, there has been filming in Rio, that much we know. So, might there be some South American magic that we might see? The South American School of Magic, it's a very hard word to pronounce for an English speaker, Castellabruxu, is located in the northern Amazon rainforest in Brazil. So, I know that Newt is a collector of magical beasts, and I'm thinking that part of his motivation for going to South America might be to get Grindelwald, because maybe he's going there, to help Dumbledore, because Dumbledore wants Newt to go there, but also because maybe he might want a magical creature there, or he might want to release a magical creature there. Now, I know there are several other magical schools that we might go to, and we've done kind of like two cultures of magic. The first movie was the American culture of magic, and the second movie was the English culture of magic, and some French. So there have been a lot of schools that have been highlighted in these specific movies. So maybe Castellabruxu is going to be the one that is highlighted in the third movie. I know there's also one in Africa, one in Japan, maybe another one in Europe, if I can remember correctly. But the bottom line is there are so many different magical cultures and schools and ministries to see that there is just too many to capture in, Harry Potter. So this Fantastic Beasts might be another reason why we are going to all these exotic places we've never been before in the Harry Potter world. We've only been in did we even go to America in Deathly Hallows? We just traveled the United Kingdom. When Harry and Ron and Hermione were going across finding Horcruxes, they never left their country. They never left England. So it is really exciting that we can go to all these other places besides where we have already been before. Even the first Fantastic Beasts movie, everyone really loved it. And that may be because it's in a different place. I know there's a huge fan base of Harry Potter in America, so it could be that everyone was excited to see the city they know and love, New York, the city. So New York and America and the American Ministry of Magic is really very similar to how England and the British Ministry of Magic does it, but it's so slightly different. That's very interesting to see what and how they do things, how they process even their papers, how they bring their tea, how they attack, how they train their aurors. There are so many things that they do differently that are just slightly different. Every ministry does the same thing, just in a different way. So when we saw the American Ministry of Magic, and hopefully some Fantastic Beasts movie we might go at Ilvermorny, we could see how different cultures process their magical people, which would be something that I really love to see. And maybe that may be why they're going to Rio. They're making these stops at all these magical hotspots just to show us what magic can really do and how it affects the world as a whole. Newt is a very wild person. He sees the world differently, which helps him in helping Fantastic Beasts and helping other people see the way he does. And that's exactly what his job is. He is writing books to help other people understand the beasts of the world, and he has and is helping a lot of these same creatures in his care. So he has to use them. He has to, it's like walking a dog or taking care of a cat. You have to take care of him. That's why he has a helper, and he does a lot of work himself in that arena. It's high time that these beasts give something back to Newt. And of course, I know you could say, give something back to him every day, but that's not what I mean. I mean that Newt and a beast are going to battle. Not each other, but together, they're going to take down a force. Newt is going to try and use one of his beasts in battle. And I think the only, big or somewhat significant time a beast has been used in battle is when he used the swooping evil escaping from the American Ministry of Magic, and that was really fleeting. His purpose is taking care of these magical beasts, and that's what he does. But we don't get to see them. We don't get to see them in action. You only physically get to see them in frame, but that's not something that they actively, are moving and going. And really, in the first movie, we saw, of course, the swooping evil and all these creatures, in their natural habitat. And then we never saw that again. In the second movie, he, captured some baby nifflers and walked by an eagle and rode a kelpie. That was it. And of course, that was a lot, but it wasn't nearly enough. The franchise is called Fantastic Beasts. Fantastic Beasts, not this is Newt Scamander and Jacob and Queenie are having issues. It's not capitalizing on other things. It's the Fantastic Beasts. So there might be a big battle, there might be a big conflict, they might encounter Grindelwald, and that is when Newt is going to take out his beast, or maybe he's going to open his case and they're all going to flood out, and they're going to attack Grindelwald at the same time. I don't know what's going to happen, but there has to be something. There has to be something there that we just didn't get. We had maybe in total 10 minutes of seeing these beasts, and all he really did was capture them and put them in his cages and, ride them or something like that, but that was it. He just didn't do anything that was majorly helpful. And yes, there are a lot of scenes with these beasts, but it is called Fantastic Beasts. It is designed around these beasts, so there should be at least one in every scene. That's what Warner Bros., if you're listening, put in at least one magical beast in every scene, even if it's just a niffler on Newt's shoulder or a bowtruckle on his hand, something. Just not, him and Dumbledore talking on a bridge and then him bringing out a niffler from under his coat like a weird person, then putting it back in, and then Dumbledore and Newt having a serious conversation about death and destroying things. And that's just something that was there, and they could have kept that niffler in, but they didn't. I don't know why. And, okay, maybe I do know why, because with anything, it's always the dollar signs. They want to take in as many dollar signs as they can without spending a lot of dollar signs. But with the money that they're spending, they have to be making a lot of money. And if they put in a lot of effort and money and time and people into making these beasts and putting them on screen, then people are going to be happy. More people are going to go to the movies. So, that's my scream. I'm happy now. Next segment. What am I doing? If there's one thing that Gellert Grindelwald is skilled at, it is gaining followers and convincing people. We saw in the first and second Fantastic Beasts movies, his silver tongue was the reason he was able to convince so many people and sway their minds to how he was thinking. And in Fantastic Beasts 3, that is exactly what he is going to do. He is going to be able to gather masses of people, give them his swaying speeches, and tell them things that will make them follow him. Going to South America, if he does, that's a whole nother continent of people to convince. So if Grindelwald can manage to get together so many people like Queenie who don't feel like they have a place anymore, he can give them that place. And as Dumbledore said, with the Ministry's tactics, they're just pushing support into Grindelwald's arms, which is exactly what they are doing. They aren't thinking, maybe I should think about, maybe I should use, nicer tactics of trying to keep people inside the boundaries. I shouldn't use force. And that's something that the Ministry just hasn't considered. If the Ministry was nicer, if they used gentler tactics, if they did better things, maybe Grindelwald would have a harder time. But now he can go to South America, now he can gain followers there, and he's going to do it a lot quicker. The third movie is really the time, the third part of anything, the third part of a book, the third act, the third movie is really where everything kind of starts to come together. That's where the two sides start to form. That's where everyone has to choose a side. And Theseus said it better than I can, sometime you're going to have to choose. And Newt even predicted what's going to happen. He said, I've already chosen my side at the end. And even then, he said, I don't choose sides. But that's bad. Newt, I'm sorry, Newt, but you have to choose. And of course, we know he's good, and he probably always will be. But in the third movie, everyone is going to do what Newt did. He is going to choose a side. They are going to choose a side. And probably the bulk of the people are going to go to Grindelwald's side because the Ministry is doing everything wrong. And I'm not saying that Grindelwald will have more people than the Ministries. I'm just saying that more people of the existing neutrals are going to go over to Grindelwald because there are more good people than bad people, and as of now. But in the third movie, when more people join Grindelwald, I don't know, it's going to even out, and it's going to even out hard. But still, Grindelwald is still going to be outnumbered, but he and his followers are still, kind of the evil people with the powers that the Ministry is too good to use, even though they're so good pushing supporters to Grindelwald's arms. Hey. So, in the third movie, Grindelwald is going to reveal his tactics. He's going to do so many more things, and he's going to really he's going to do some heavy marketing for his Grindelwald brand. He's going to do a lot of marketing to get a lot of people onto his side, thinking his way. And for Grindelwald, it's really easy because his way is something that a lot of people see as something that they also want to take part in. They want a place where they will also feel like that they are loved, that they are cared about. So Grindelwald is going to make a mad dash to get as many people as he can into his followers, and I'm going to say right now, he is going to succeed. And that's it. That wraps up this episode, and boy, I got through, 5 predictions? I had 13 written down. That's an episode for another day. But, yeah, that's it. If you have any questions, comments, topics, Quizmaster questions, or jokes that you would like me to see or other people on the show to hear, definitely send me an email. My email is thepotterdiscussion@gmail.com. That is thepotterdiscussion@gmail.com. Those SpeakPipe page link and Google Form link are still available down in the description. If you could just do that, that would be amazing. It only takes a couple minutes and it's free. It helps me out. Anything you want to say, click those two links and figure it out for. If you could just scroll down in your podcast app of choice, tap those 5 stars, or even leave a written review, that could help me out more than you could ever know, and it helps other listeners find the show. As always, use information to your advantage, and I will see you later.